Welcome to the World Cup Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the U.S. West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my mate across the pond, Dan Tracy. How are you today, Dan?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Just watched a frenetic end to the Uruguay-Ghana game. We've got one segment left of group stage matches. They're into the round of 16 tomorrow, so there is no rest, but we don't really want to rest, do we? We just want more World Cup. So I'm all good on this side of the pond. I hope you are well on your side of the pond.
We're hanging in, us at thelines.com. We've had a pretty good World Cup. Steven and myself have been following along very closely, Steven Andres. And we had a little bit of a setback with Uruguay not getting through in that last-second thriller from the South Koreans scoring on Portugal, sending them home. But either way, in this one, Dan, we are taking a look at the 14th day of matches in the World Cup. Something like 48 or 7 or 6 matches have been played up to now. As you said, 2 more in the group stage, but we are looking at another day, the second one of the round of 16 that has a couple of matches in here that'll be pretty fun to talk about. The first one we'll get into, England and Senegal, and then the other one that I have here, France and Poland. So a couple of pretty fun matches. I think there's some value to be found for sure. We'll jump into all of that. Make sure you head to thelines.com as well. Dan has all the articles up about each of these matches going forward and up to now as well. So everything you can need for the World Cup is up there, as well as the odds finder tool that you can use to make sure you're getting the best juice back on all these World Cup bets that you are making. As I said, we are coming at you every day as well with videos, so don't stop following us until this World Cup is over, and then continue following along because we'll have more for you there as well. But let's kick things off, Dan, in a game that I know obviously is close to your heart, as the Three Lions are minus 390, the English side, to beat the Senegalese here. Senegal is plus 300. If you would like to take the three-way money line, as we talk about this, this is not relevant to the final score of the game as much as full time. Minus 190 for England to be leading at full time, plus 650 for Senegal, and a draw is plus 295 at full time. As we know, these cannot end in a draw after full time if it is still tied up. So that does make things a little bit more interesting. Where do you start in finding the value in this match?
Okay, so I am going to go for an England win, no surprise there, but I'm also going to go for an England win in 90 minutes with no goals conceded, that being a win to nil. You can get that at plus 110. So when you look at England in terms of their group stage performance, yes, they conceded 2 goals to Iran, but the caveat there is that they kind of switched off after going 4-0 up. It's a little blip, but I wouldn't read too much into that. Against the United States, yes, they had their goal frame rattled, but still kept a clean sheet. They defended very well. Wales didn't trouble them at all. Again, another clean sheet. So I like the way the defence has kind of created a solid platform for the midfield and attack to build from. So, liking the look of their defence. Senegal, of course, have got no Sadio Mane, and many people thought with no Mane they wouldn't get out of the group stage. They've kind of gone against that theory completely. They're in the round of 16, and rightly so. You know, they've done very well to get out of the group themselves. So, but with that said, I just don't see where they're going to trouble England. They've got kind of players who are aware of the Premier League, lots of Edouard Mendy, for example. He's with Chelsea, Koulibaly as well, but they are defensive-minded players. I'm not sure if they've got enough of a threat to land a glove on England, and for that reason, I'm going for a win to nil. But to advance on that further, I like the look of an England 2-0 win. That's at plus 525. Now, when you look at England's and the path they've got in the next fixture, there's the threat of France lurking around the corner. So let's say England take the lead first half hour. Let's say they go 2-0 up within an hour. I don't see them really putting Senegal to the sword. I'm not going to see them smash them 4-5-0 because I feel at that point, Gareth Southgate will say, right, if France is around the corner, I need to start getting my best players off and kind of keep people fresh. So that's when you'll see a slew of substitutions, and that's when the kind of pace of the game will slow down slightly. So if you're looking for a correct score, I'd go 2-0. But if you want to dial it down, I'd go for an England win to nil at plus 110.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit scared of the Senegalese surprising you and getting one, but obviously, you know, the Dutch have had a similar style of play, I would say, to the English team here as well in these first 3 matches, and you can take a lot out of the way that that first match for the Dutch and the Senegalese went. I think there's a similar, maybe you believe in the English ability to get one in the back of the net, as I think we'll probably see Marcus Rashford starting. I think he's done done enough at this point to introduce himself into the starting lineup, right? And with that in mind, you're going to have someone who's just thinking goal, 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 and plays at a very fast pace. So maybe you do feel as though the English have a better chance to get a goal in that first half. I would love for them to get a goal in that first half and be up 1-0 at halftime, to the point that you're making about them being able to keep the Senegalese at bay on defense. If they can get one, I do believe in their ability to get two, and that leads to the final score being exactly what you'd like, because at that point, if they're up 2-0 in roughly the 70th minute or so, I don't think that they would feel too much of a sense of urgency to get another one. The only thing that sticks in the back of my mind is the friskiness with which the Senegalese play, and if they are able to put one in the back of the net, they scared the Dutch a little bit at the very end of the game, not much. So there is, like I've been saying, believe what they tell you. They haven't been pressing hard enough to be able to impress me that they can score in this English team. So do you find any value in the total? I would just ask before we move on from this game. As it stands, under 2.5 would be -165. Over 2.5 would be +130. I think that's what we're flirting with here is, do you think the English put another one in the back of the net after they have two, or do you think that the Senegalese can pull one off to make it worthwhile to take either, the over 2.5 or under 2.5? Any value in that area?
I'm not sure if there is, to be honest, because there's probably too much risk attached to it. As you say, if Senegal score, my plan is completely out the wall, saying you're not getting enough at +130 to really go for broke, I feel. So it might be a market worth avoiding. If you look at if you look at over 3.5 goals, you've got +333 there. So that might be more where the value is if you want to be a bit more bolder. But when you're looking at the flip side of over-under on 2.5, I feel the odds on either side aren't really enough to make me part of my money. If you're going to go bold, you might as well stick an extra goal on top.
Yeah, and so I'm slightly disagreeing with you, but still we're meeting in the middle here, where I'm saying I'm scared of the Senegalese getting one into the goal. I know that the English have been so strong in defense that it's tough to see anybody breaking through, especially if they're going to play that's tough and tactically in the back in a game where obviously they know lose or go home. It's no longer like you can play around, so maybe they take it even more seriously for 90 minutes and give up no goals. I would say a decent hedge, though, and this is where I'm meeting in the middle. A decent hedge to your idea of going for the English win without giving up a goal. +3.5, over 3.5 is +330. If you sprinkle a little bit onto that, you're at least hedging the idea that they can't win the game straight up, but that there will be at least like a 2-1, 3-1 potential, or that there will be a little bit more of a flurry of goals. It might be a little bit of a way to hedge, a slight hedge. Obviously, you could still lose both, but it's a slight hedge to getting some really good value that you only need to sprinkle a little bit of money on there to be a lot of goals, and our game theory that we've been talking about so far being a little bit off, and you can sort of defend against that. So let's move on to the other game that day. That will be the first one of the day, 7 a.m. here on the Pacific coast of the United States. France and Poland going head-to-head here. Interesting match. I mean, look, France look like the best side in the world right now, bar maybe the Brazilians. But I would put them neck and neck, to be honest with you, especially with the way Mbappe looks like the best player in the world. And Neymar still is a little bit, seems to be hobbled. So France -350 to be winning at full time. Draw +475 at full time. And the Polish to win this game without needing extra time would be +1100. Yeah, I guess, for this game, if the French should win, do you see them winning in full time?
Yeah, I do. I think Poland have been really disappointing. I think of all the teams that have qualified for the round of 16 that we know at the moment, I think they've been the most lacklustre. I feel that with Robert Lewandowski in the team, yes, he scored against Saudi Arabia, but they've just offered nothing really. And we obviously drew against Mexico. They should have won that really with a missed penalty. They didn't really turn up against Argentina. They didn't want to turn up, did they? They just kind of thought, right, okay, well, as long as results go elsewhere for us, then we'll just sort of turn up and do our bit. And they didn't really offer anything there. So I can't see why France will be threatened in any way. Now, France, of course, lost to Tunisia. Big caveat there that they were well rested, well rotated. They earned the right to do that, so we can't read too much into that. And I feel that after losing to Tunisia, they're going to have a point to prove and live up to their mantle as, if not the favourites, the second favourites, the third favourites. They're in that top bracket, so they need to sort of be world-class again. Because Poland are quite stubborn, I can't see this being a game which is full of goals, even though France have got loads of attacking options. So I'm actually going for under 2.5 goals and a France win at +200 as my first pick.
Interesting. Yeah, and so that would be I suppose a little bit of a tip of the cap to the Polish defense in a way, if you
Yeah.
think that they can stymie the French to that degree. The total being, I see your point there with the total. If you do feel as though there will be a little bit more of a staunch defense, let me ask you, Kylian Mbappe didn't even have a goal scoring market last game, as he obviously didn't come in until roughly the 70th or 75th minute, which was surprising in and of itself, by the way, that the French felt the need to bring in their best players at 75th minute. Obviously, they thought they were going to win that game without the need for their starters, and that wasn't what didn't end up being the case. But at any rate, do you find any value in who you could pick to score? Mbappe's minus 120 anytime scorer. I think that the market, I was ready to just hit him at any odds if he played in that third match. As I said, it seems like he's on a tear. Is that worth it, or perhaps Mbappe with a French victory?
I like the look of Giroud, actually. I mean, we spoke about him in the previous episodes. Obviously, now sharing that record, wants a record for himself. I feel it's just a slightly better price at plus 140. If you're feeling really brave, you could go with Antoine Griezmann at plus 160. Yeah. Had a goal disallowed against Tunisia. The thing with France, they've got so many options that if you're looking at odds of either side, minus 100, plus 100, there's not really a great deal there because it could be one of 4 or 5 players who gets the goal. So I guess the real value is, let's say, could Mbappe get 2 goals? You can get plus 500 on that. That's where you really need to sort of start fattening things up. So to back 1 goal, at a minus price, you're sort of thinking, yes, he is one of the world's best strikers on his day. He can score plenty of goals. So why not look for 2? And it might be that he gets both goals in a 2-0 Poland win, which then factors into our France and on a 2.5 victory.
Yeah. I think, another area that I'm looking in, and this is one where we're kind of scratching and clawing a little bit because I think that we're not really trying to predict any surprises here.
No.
As we continue to say that there's nothing from the Polish that have allowed us to believe in their ability to press in any way, shape, or form. Even if they decided to turn it on, I don't think that would matter much, right? So with that in mind, I would also start looking at some things we haven't talked about too much, but shots on target at this point have been something that I've actually been parlaying with the French. A couple of different guys getting shots on goal as they've been peppering it, right? So Mbappe to get 2 shots or more on target is minus 200, but you go ahead and throw that into 2 shots on target for Olivier Giroud as well, and minus 125. You put those together, you get all the way up to plus 165, plus 170, depending on which book you're looking at here. So it's really about them peppering the Polish with shots, regardless of if they're able to get them, past the keeper to more than twice. Let's say I gotta believe that we're going to be close to double-digit shots, more than double-digit shots, closer to 15, 16 shots total for this team, maybe 10, close to 10 on goal, depending on how well they look up top with the attack. So either way, don't expect too many surprises from this one. My work here is find ways to get goal scorers and shot takers combined with French victories, and just like I said, a lot of shots on goal for multiple players for this French team. So that's all the time we have for you guys in this one. We are going to continue to bring you each and every day of this World Cup as we're in this round of 16, and happy to be there as well. So until we see you next, happy betting.